We are live. The stream is going. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Adventure on so many levels. We're gonna play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons!
I think I need to turn the music volume down a little bit. There we go. I tried running without it last week, and I missed it so much that I added it back in post for the audio version. So, but in any event, we're here. I'm Christiana Ellis. I'm the Dungeon Master, and our players tonight: Chooch Schubert as Autarky,
Hello, hello.
Starla Hutchton as Nirakina Ethu,
Greetings and salutations.
Jenny Meltzer as Cadence of the Water,
Hello.
James Meltzer as Ket of the Sands,
Arr, matey.
Vivid Muse as Amethyst.
I missed you guys.
And sadly, we are missing Mark Kilfoyle as Alaric this week because he is at a conference. But
Oh wait, allow me. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
a bigger one already? I just gave you guys a boat. So, let's talk about what happened last time. Well, you all made it to the elemental plane of air, and because you had planned so well, you did not suddenly all go flying in random directions and end up miles away from each other. Instead, you managed to put together a pretty tight plan to find and then sneak up on a Githyanki airship with which you hoped to sail into the Astral Sea and have a way to get around once you're there. You noticed a couple of things, though, that you haven't quite nailed down the cause of yet. And one is that the planes seem like they're maybe bleeding into each other a little bit more than they used to. When you first arrived in the elemental plane of air, you had this feeling of goodwill, like positive energy was seeping into the elemental plane of air. But then, after casting a powerful spell, it shifted and you all felt imprisoned in a vague way that was hard to define or describe. But something's happening, for sure. But in any event, without a way to determine what's happening, you just have to continue with your plan. So, Amethyst cast animal shapes on you all to give you the ability to travel and then sneak up on this airship unobserved, at which point you ambushed them with a zoo, transforming into a variety of animals appearing suddenly on deck. You managed to defeat the Githyanki crew, even though they had, a sneaky spellcaster captain and a knight riding a young red dragon, but you fought off all those guys and managed to seize the ship intact with loot and hopefully a way forward to find what you hope to find in the astral plane, that being the hopefully sealed away Emirate Arboris that might save the multiverse. So no pressure. But in the meantime, as we resume, you are still feeling that vague, uneasy sense that you're trapped here. You feel just stuck. Despite having just seized transportation, there's this nagging feeling you can't shake, that you're trapped. I don't know if you've even spoken of it to each other, for that matter.
About what point in the day are we at right now?
Hard to say, because in the elemental plane of air, there's not standard day and night in the way you guys are used to. In terms of your own subjective feeling of the day, it's probably mid-afternoon. Because although it was early in the morning, respectively, when you made your jump to the elemental plane of air, you nonetheless spent a good chunk of time searching around for the ship before you found it.
So, welcome to the SS Friendship.
Where is
Okay.
Melicanth at right now?
So she had been a little bit overwhelmed after the fighting and was requested some quiet time to identify the various magic items that you seized, but she did eventually come out from that and tell you about all the stuff you got, and so she's been around, not hiding or anything. You want to pull her aside?
Yeah, I want to talk to her.
All right.
Cool.
There's a convenient captain's quarters, or you could go below deck or anywhere on your new airship that you guys have because you took it.
Yeah, I'll go into the captain's quarters
All right.
just for a little magic wielder to magic wielder
Sure,
conversation. So I've been having some thoughts.
Yes.
We're discussing this possibility of time travel. I don't know much about how you intend to accomplish that. But I was thinking about what we're doing now and what we're ultimately trying to do. And it occurs to me that if we can go back in time and fix this stolen moment thing, I don't think that solves the full problem, because there's still the problem of this tree. So why is it necessary to limit us only to going back to the stolen moment instead of to when the tree was removed? Because that seems to have weakened the divisions between the different planes, which is a huge problem that we must solve.
I certainly concur, and given that we have not really spent much time discussing the particulars of the ritual that we would perform with the stolen moment, I understand the missing piece in the picture for you here. The stolen moment does not allow us to travel to any point in time that we wish. It has sealed within it a particular point in time that belongs in a certain place. We can travel with it back to its original place. We cannot choose any other time to travel to. But as far as the rest, it had been my original hope that restoring the soul and moment would be sufficient to restore balance and stability to the multiverse that we have observed decaying. But it seems clear now that there is a much larger picture, and that perhaps the stolen moment, using it, was only the proverbial last straw, so to speak. That the stability of the universe had been weakening for some time as a result of the missing tree. And so it would certainly not serve any of us to restore the stolen moment only to then find that it was too late or not enough. And so if there is a means to return the tree to health, then that would at least give us some additional degree of certainty that restoring the stolen moment would have the effect we hope.
Nobody's said anything, but I have this very familiar feeling. It happened a few hours ago. It feels just so similar to the time that we spent in the Shadowfell. That's not just me, is it? Like this, I don't know, there's some feeling of this place, and it wasn't like that when we first traveled here. It was very positive and it felt good, but sometime during the flight, something changed.
Yes, I'll confess some measure of relief that you feel it too. I had thought it might just be me.
Okay.
But
Well, that can't be good.
recall that before we traveled here, when we were still in the mansion, we observed that there seemed to have been a change in the light, I think is how Ket described it, outside the mansion. And then when we traveled here, there seemed to be a positive energy to the place that I was quite surprised by, only to then have it change to this current oppressive heaviness. I fear that even beyond the fissures we have already observed, we may be observing a sort of leak between the planes. Not merely openings, but energy transference.
That was kind of my thinking as well, which means things are decaying even faster than before.
Yes.
So it just leaves me questioning whether this path that we're currently on is the one that we need to be on, or if we should be focusing on putting the stolen moment back and trying to go for the tree after that. I can't decide which one feels like the right decision.
Yes, it's a dilemma. For true, we don't want to spend time on something that may be beyond us, only to be too late to restore the stolen moment. But if we were to restore the stolen moment and change the timeline, I have no confidence that we will even remember about the tree. It was only our pursuit, our belief that it was necessary to save the multiverse that even led us to that place. I don't claim to know perfectly what the best path is. These are matters beyond any mortal mind, I believe, but to some degree, we have a responsibility to do our best to see the universe healed if it can be. I have thought, in the time when you were all still sealed away, I did consult with some of the more positive, good-inclined outer planar realms, celestials, for example, to determine if this burden perhaps belonged better or was more suited to larger hands, so to speak. And at the time I concluded that this may be vanity on my own part, but I didn't feel that I could trust them. But that was when the problem seemed far away and that there was lots of time.
It's hard to know who to trust.
Yes. Yes. I will say that I am very grateful that when the moment came, you chose to trust me at least a little.
Well, I mean, I don't see any reason why not. I mean, I know I was mad at you, but I mean, really, what's the big deal? I don't know why I was so upset about it.
Well, suffice it to say that I'm pleased to have a more cordial environment between us.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's like I said, it's hard to know who to trust. And this choice that we're having to make, nobody should have to make this choice.
And yet,
you're
it
just
must be
working
made.
with what you've got, and I'm just working with what I've got, and there's nothing more than we can do than
Yes.
what we're already doing.
And all that said, I have to say, I have watched you and your companions and your new allies that you have gathered along the way, and you have grown so powerful. I will admit that I had at first thought to simply dictate what I thought best and expect you to comply because I knew better. But you all have proven yourselves in more ways than one.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that would have gone over too well had you attempted that. Might have left you in the Shadowfell.
Well, I really spoke more of when you emerged from the temple and less more recent times, but in any event.
Well, what's done is done.
I will I will remind you that I meant what I said before, that I no longer wish it to seem that I hold on to the stolen moment only for my own use. I have kept it protected in this spell that essentially keeps it in a container inaccessible to anyone else on the ethereal plane, because I think that keeps it safe, but the risk, of course, that were something to happen to me, it could be lost, deposited, well, in the Astral Sea, is where things tend to go. But
Yeah, I have thought about that too. Is there... I don't... Amethyst is really keen to have a backup plan on that.
yes,
If I had another solution, I would offer it. Is there a way to alter the spell so that it's tied to you and someone else?
the spell itself specifically is tied to this, and she reaches into a pocket of her robes and pulls out something the size of a marble, but you recognize it as a tiny version of the container that the stolen moment was in. It is this and the expression of the command word that causes the container to be brought out of its hiding place.
Sort of like the oh wait, I don't think you were there for that. we encountered some things within with the stone giants that worked a little similarly. I think a rod that was used with a command word to activate things.
Well, the magic in and of itself is powerful, but not rare. It is an arcane spell, as opposed to your divine magics or even Amethyst's druidic energies, but it is powerful in its specific way. And in theory, the restoring the chest requires both the physical item and the command word. I could perhaps give you the command word, but if the item is destroyed...
Right. Won't make any difference if I know the thing or not. You know, I just...
Should we
I mean,
perhaps
I don't
include
want
everyone?
to...
I don't...
Yeah, no, I'm mostly just thinking out loud
Yes.
about things. Like there's... I mean, my companions don't always have the greatest grasp of magic. Amethyst would be an exception. But it's nice to speak with someone who is more focused on book knowledge and things of that nature. But so I appreciate the thought. But yeah, I think I think especially Amethyst would feel more comfortable if she had a way to access it that didn't involve you. She's just she's very concerned over this and has been for a while. So to put her at ease, baby.
I would be happy to bring it out and discuss any alternate hiding solution, but I would suggest that perhaps we don't want it simply locked in a safe where any creature who with access to invisibility and lockpicks would be able to take it from us.
Oh, I absolutely agree. So yes, I think maybe the others might have some input on that.
Perhaps we can raise it as a group discussion as well. But I wish to just say I appreciate, too, what you said. Not everyone comes to their gifts through study, and I know yours are largely through faith, too, which I will confess has never been something I really understood.
Well, my case is a bit more complicated than that, I think.
Well,
It's hard not to have faith when there's a actual voice in your head telling you things. So, and you're not actually crazy for saying that, which sounds crazy, but
that may be true, but the existence of powerful spirits is not in question. I am not unpersuaded of Rushama's reality, of his existence, but there is something about your connection to him that goes beyond simply knowing he's real. It must.
well, that's a question that I've asked myself many, many nights, and I have yet to get a satisfactory answer. But that's
Ineffable,
kind of
I
the nature
suppose.
of faith.
Yes, yes. It is certainly something that I have found frustration in when researching it, though it's also certainly true that arcane magics can have have their own eccentricities and idiosyncrasies.
That is true.
But I just want to repeat my appreciation for you and gratitude that we have been able to work together. I think that I spent a lot of time believing that I was the only one that this burden could fall to, and being able to share it is a comfort.
I would agree. I don't think I could do this on my own. So it's nice to have friends.
Yes. So, while all that's going on in the captain's quarters, what are the rest of you getting up to?
I think a practical matter. We've got these dead bodies again. I can try to patch up the armor. I mean, if we're going to impersonate the ship, we need to impersonate them, right? So
Yes. That's what I was saying
Do-
last week, that we
Yeah.
could actually use that spell that Ket has to make ourselves look like those people and wear their armor so that we can just pass through a little more easily.
Okay. So a couple of these got hit pretty hard, but I can pound that out and make it fit. I mean, if we wanted,
I'm not even going to touch that one, man.
say if we
But
wanted,
yes, I can make us look like those guys. I just need. I'm feeling a little tired though. I just need like a long rest before we decide to do anything like that.
But do we?
I don't even know what we're doing.
What do we do with these bodies? I mean,
throw them overboard.
But another patrol could find them and then know that there's something amiss, right?
Feathercrest will kind of, sort of raise her hand at that moment and says, I don't really think that'll be a problem. Let me demonstrate. And she'll just take like a copper coin and say, right now, I'm focusing on having that be down. She holds it out over the railing, drops it, and it just falls out of sight, and she says, it's
How long
gone."
does that fall for like that?
Well, let's see. In that direction, probably it will eventually reach the elemental plane of Earth
Oh, okay.
in some weeks.
So you don't have to like constantly be concentrating like, oh, that's down, 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 down. No,
No,
okay.
the coin has no will of its own.
Oh,
It
that's
can't
true.
change its down.
Ah, Feathercrest, you're so smart.
Well, thank you. Experienced with the plane helps.
Yes.
All right, so we'll start taking the armor off of these guys, and we don't want them for like centuries or anything, right?
Their
We're against
bodies.
we're against the whole raising the dead thing.
I mean,
that might come in handy. I'm not going to turn down some free.
Free
Alaric
labor.
will say, we did briefly discuss using Speak with Dead on either one of them or the dragon.
I thought that he couldn't do that because he didn't kill him with the dagger itself.
I couldn't with my dagger, but I think Nira has that spell, doesn't she? Metagame.
I don't.
yeah, she does. Yeah.
Yeah. Nira mentioned knowing that at one point
There's something
in
about
time.
that.
Maybe she does.
Yeah, but Speak with Dead won't like really.
Well, I mean, they could give us important information about how to get through, where we want to go,
Yeah.
maybe like
Where are we going? Where do we want to go?
we're going to the elemental plane of that other thing.
I know, but I know we're going into that other thing plane, but like, do we know like the direction? Like where? Like Feathercrest? Do you know like where? Do we know how to get there? That's what I'm asking.
I can get you to the rift that leads to the Astral Sea. In
Perfect,
fact, we
that's-
can see it from here. And she kind
Oh,
of just points
perfect.
off. There's just a little glint of the purple. It's perhaps an hour or two away if we can make the ship work.
Oh wow, that's perfect.
But
Now,
I've never been through it. I don't know anything about what's on the other side.
Okay,
Also,
so
we have to meet up with your people too, so you can go because we can't take you with us.
Well, yes, I did promise that I would get you to the rift. And with some of the supplies that we have here, I can make it on my own to a place of safety. And I have the letters that I can contact my people. So I would be safe to accompany you to the rift and then make my own way from there.
All right, good.
Is
You,
it dangerous, like around the rift? Are there a lot of
there
other ships?
Likely
like
would be
tentacles coming
other.
out?
The rift itself, I don't know if it would be actively protected, but it is where the Githyanki are coming through.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So that's so then before we go through the rift, I think that would be a good time to disguise ourselves, like before we get close to it, you know, like when it's like,
Right.
20 minutes away or something like that, then we can like do the spell and make us look like them, and
How long does that last again?
it lasts for like 8 hours.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But you need a significant rest before.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, so tired.
Perhaps
Yeah.
we should try to
I do
maneuver. I guess we should try to maneuver closer to it, but a
Like
safe
Feather
enough
Crest.
distance that we don't want to be in seen traffic, right? So, but
Yeah,
we do
but-
need to at least move this thing. Make sure we can move it.
Is there a place that you can think of that we could maybe, I don't know, lay low and, not be actively targeted by other pirates?
Well, there are just, chunks of rock here and there. There, tends to be far apart, but if we were to simply find one and moor ourselves to it, if we were to go somewhere more populated, it may be away from the Githyanki, but I'm not sure if you wish to answer my people's questions either. I mean, if you wanted to go all the way to the city of the Wind Dukes, I could take you there, but that's well out of your way.
Yeah, we're kind of on a time crunch.
Right, that's what I suspected. So, if you simply need a place to rest for a sleep and not be spotted in the meantime, that would be my advice. Is we can simply find a nearby chunk of rock big enough to obscure the ship's profile.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All right.
First, we have to figure out how to make this ship move.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a good point. So I think on that note, it would probably be about the time that Nira and Melicanth come out from the captain's quarters. Unless you guys had more that you were you guys, you and Nira, and Melicanth.
Guys.
Did either of you have anything else you were wanting to say in there?
No, but
Hey, you guys!
where's that doohickey that you plug into the controls? Who's got
You
that?
have it.
It was part of what Melicanth identified, but I think she kind of just, once she had identified everything, she was sort of not making claims on any of it.
All right.
So it's kind of just with the pile, I would guess.
All
Yeah.
right.
Speaking of which, have any of you wanted to take possession of any of those specific items? Did you divide
Yeah,
it
I was
up?
going to ask that too. I've got the spreadsheet and I have everything kind of in a separate unsorted section. So I figured the coins and stuff we would, put in the kitty, but
I
I
think
really like those arrows. The
This-
poster arrows.
the sword should probably go to Arch. I'm trying to remember what all there was.
the sword is only usable by somebody with psionic
All
ability.
right.
Well,
so
so-
it's
The way I would
For
rule it
loot.
is that it has special things that it can do only if it's attuned to someone with psionics. Otherwise, it's just a magic greatsword. So it would
Right
it would do magical damage, but not have any of its bonuses or other traits.
gotcha.
But it would still be a greatsword that can do magical slashing damage.
In that case, I am proficient and could use it.
The potions and powders are definitely of interest to me. I know we had the dust stuff. Trying to remember, I think there were 2 other potions. I don't remember what they
The
were.
Dust of Dryness, the Potion of Invulnerability, which, despite the name, just gives you resistance to all types of damage for a time.
Which I forgot. Archie has all the time now, and I forgot to ask if the bad guys were hitting me with magical or not.
Oh,
I got to remember that.
to non-magical bludgeoning.
Yeah, when I leveled
Yeah,
up, I am
okay.
now resistant to non-magical damage.
Oh, okay,
any
yeah.
type.
So some of those hits.
Which is crazy.
So the Githyanki attacks were doing both slashing and psychic
Yeah.
damage. The psychic damage certainly would not be resisted, but the slashing would have.
Mhm.
So I think, try to
Yeah.
remember that, and I'll try to remember too for the future.
So we
Since
have
the,
potion of longevity, make you 1d6 plus 6 years younger.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't need that.
And the
I'm
dryness.
barely more than a kid as it is. So.
The super glue.
The Ion
Oh.
Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ion Stone of Alertness or Awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I would
Haste
like
of
if nobody else
smiting.
wants it.
I want the glue. I want the super glue.
Wait, that potion of
So that's
longevity.
the glue is called Sovereign Glue in D&D Beyond.
The potion of longevity that makes you younger. Do you still retain like all your knowledge? You're just younger.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Melicanth identified it, and you guys, like you could taste it. So yeah, it does just what it says on the tin.
I'll take it.
In the spreadsheet, I linked in the D&D Beyond item pages too. So when you
There was
click on
also
the items,
the bands
It'll open
of whatever, and
Yeah, the little cage thingy.
yeah.
Iron Bands of Belaro.
Ooh, that sounds ominous.
And then, of course, the half-plate armor, which grants psychic resistance. And the Mace
So-
of Smiting, which is a magic mace that also does extra damage against constructs.
That might
With-
come in handy for the Maroot.
Would the potion of invulnerability help, for instance, maintain like resistance to all damage, but it wouldn't help with Constitution saving throws for maintaining concentration on
Well,
spells?
it would in the sense that when you make a concentration check, what you have to get is either a minimum of 10 or half the damage you take. And so the DC you have to meet to maintain concentration is based on how much damage you take. And so if you cut
Okay.
the damage that you're taking in half, then it makes those concentration checks much easier to succeed. I mean, you
That's
still have to get at
interesting.
least 10, but,
Yeah.
if you get burned by dragonfire and take 54 damage or something like
Yeah.
that, right? Then you certainly could cut that in half and have a chance of making it.
Yeah.
I want the super glue and the portable cage.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to add those in D&D Beyond, it is Sovereign Glue is what it's called. And then the Iron Bands of Bilaro, Bilarro. Also, there was a crystal ball that lets you cast Scrying.
All right.
Yeah.
All their cool stuff, those Githyanki, they had scavenged all their treasures from
Well,
various
I would
raids.
like the potion of invulnerability. And I've got to find some sort of better armor in the future, but there's nothing here that looks like it'll work for me.
Okay. And then if Cadence wanted the arrows, they were basically 3 + 2 arrows.
Yeah.
That on top of any other bonuses you have would be an additional +2 to the attack and damage roll with them.
Okay.
And then, of course, they do magical damage, but I think your ranger thing already does that, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Yeah.
Does anybody want the Iron Stone?
No.
The what? I'm
It's
sorry.
a Iron Stone of Awareness.
It makes it so that you can't be surprised.
Ooh. That seems like it would be good for you, Cadence,
That's what I was thinking.
because you're always on watch for us and everything,
Yeah.
spotting stuff.
Okay.
It is noticeable, though. Like, it actually floats around your head. Like,
Yeah.
There's actual mechanics in the description of, like, what it takes for someone to try to grab it away from you.
Yeah.
You're like a sim just walking around with the.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah. Cat's not wasting any time. He's just popping the cork off of that potion and glug, 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 glug. Drinking it.
Okay. Go ahead and, so what was the,
What is it?
so potion, longevity, I think it's, I'm pulling, It is 1, so go ahead and roll a 1d6, and then add, 1d6 plus 6.
So 11.
All right. You are 11 years younger. You
Oh, Lord.
a little bit of a pep in your step.
Man. Oh yeah.
I don't remember how old you were, physically.
Oh man, I don't remember either. I'm like 3,000 or something. So
Yeah. So it doesn't make that much difference, really.
yeah,
Yeah, but we were only like in our 30s, so now you're like 20 because we were frozen for like thousands of years.
Hey, Cadence,
But
how you doing?
Oh, God. God. Stop.
you're a little young for me.
Man, I feel like I could take on the whole Githyanki army myself. I won't, but I feel like I could.
So the magical doohickey that steers the ship.
Mhm.
Let's give that a shot.
All right.
Let's see what we can do with that.
So it fits into the helm in a pretty obvious way. Doesn't seem to be a wrong way to do it. It fits in one way. But by concentrating on it, and Melicanth is certainly willing to let you go ahead and be the one to try it. But what she told you about it is essentially that you won't be able to fully attune to it the way that a Githyanki would. So some of its abilities, which would grant you like total awareness of everything on the ship, won't work. But by concentrating on it, you can still sort of try to enforce your will on it, which mechanically would require making an intelligence check. And essentially what you would be trying to do is willing the ship to move the way you want.
Does anybody else want to give this a go, or?
If you're comfortable, I've got a little work to do with the armor, so.
Yeah, Melicanth is basically like not going to insist, but she is certainly willing if that seems to be the right thing.
I think I'm gonna let her give it a shot.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm gonna. I feel like probably as a wizard, her or whatever sorcerer, whatever she is, might have a higher intelligence than what I've got. I mean, I've got a +3, but still.
Yeah, just
I mean,
from
I
a
could-
metagaming sense, I will say yes. She technically has a higher intelligence than any of you
Yeah.
guys.
I mean,
From a strictly mechanical perspective.
believe it or not, I'm like super intelligent.
Would you like to give it a try?
Yeah, man, I could give it a try.
Well, yo ho ho, here we go.
All
My
right.
younger self steps up. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
What am I doing?
You're rolling it just intelligence check, no proficiency, because you certainly do not have proficiency with psionic airships.
No, it's fine. Oh, there we go. So,
Hell, you say?
Challenge.
who are you to tell me? No.
Just
17.
one time.
That's a 17 plus 4.
Okay,
so,
well, what were you trying to make the ship do?
Oh, that's a good question. I was just trying to.
I think at first what you just do is you go, and the ship
Yeah.
kind of just.
Yeah, I was just trying to make it lurch a little to the left and right, just kind of rocking it a little bit.
Well, with that check, which is you said 17 plus 4.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
21.
yeah. So it basically just does exactly what you imagined.
Hey, check it out, guys. If this ship's a rocking. Anything else you want me to do?
Where are we going?
We're gonna
Look
try
at-
to find
Look
some
for a
rock.
rock.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Like it's in the direction of the big portal thingy. Like
Yeah, I mean, I'll steer it in the direction of the rift,
The
but,
rift
Bloody
but
lens.
Lord.
along the way, kind of look for something to you know, sort of conceal the ship, like a rock or something. I don't
Maybe
know.
our resident expert on the
Yeah.
place could
Yeah.
help.
She's actually going to advise that if the hope is to have an undisturbed rest, you probably don't want to go where the concentration of Githyanki is likely to be higher.
Right.
It'd probably be smarter to go the other way for now, because the rift is only a couple of hours away,
Okay.
Yeah.
and there's
All
not
right.
there's not tons of these little chunks of rock. Mostly what you see is sky, but like in various directions you can see a little dark spot down there, a little dark spot over there, a little glint of purple over there, and that's the rift, for example.
Okay.
But so probably don't want to go too much closer in the direction of the rift, not directly anyway.
Okay, so I'll look for a spot that's sort of not. I don't want to travel to the rift, but I sort of want to travel like parallel to it, so I'm not like moving away from it. You know, like
okay.
any further away. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have a pretty solid command of the ship right now, so it's following your instructions.
Okay.
It's a little bit like riding a horse. You do have a little bit of a sense of not a will or anything. It's not like it has any awareness exactly,
Right.
but it is something that is currently cooperating with you in a dynamic way. Like you can sort of feel it responding to your commands.
Okay. So while I'm commanding, while I'm doing that, can somebody be on the lookout for like a rock or like something to conceal the ship? Because I'm focusing on this, so
Yeah.
I can't be looking around.
Yeah.
Well, if we all kind of spread out and
Mhm.
take a direction.
I'll say, several of you have pretty good perception, and if you're all kind of looking, I don't think we need to belabor like having you all make a check and then just say, okay, well, whoever's got the highest, they get to spot it. Eventually, you do spot, a little chunk of rock that looks like it's big enough that if you sort of attach the ship to it, you would have to get pretty close to realize that it's a ship and a rock and not just a rock.
Okay. So I will do that then. So I will just kind of just like,
Fly casual.
yeah, just kind of casually
You fly very casually.
cruise the ship alongside this rock. Oh, this looks like a nice rock. Let's just stay here for a little bit. Yeah. And I will will the ship to just kind of, hover there, not move any further.
Won't it stay in place if you take the thing out?
Well, what I was thinking is there like any rope or like anchors that I can like sort of, that we can like, jam into the rock?
There, excuse me, I'm suddenly coughing. There are, in fact, not anchors of the type that you might be more familiar with on an ocean ship, but there are very similar devices that you suspect are actually sort of grappling hooks used to toss onto another vessel
Yes.
and then
grappling
pull it
hooks.
in so it can't get away.
All right. So hey, crew, you get the grappling hooks and attach to the rock. Captain's orders. Don't everybody move at once.
I'll get up and grab it and hook it.
Yeah, and you guys are not necessarily like in a rush, so I think if you are just kind of taking the time that it takes,
Yeah.
it's not overly difficult to just find some places where you can kind of attach it in and then reel in the rope enough that you're not bumping up against the rock exactly, but held in close and not drifting away.
You all need to be like Archie. Look at that initiative. Archie, you're my first mate.
Aye.
Hey, there we go. I need a patch for my eye.
Where's my rum allotment?
It's down below deck
Yeah.
with the booty.
All right. We're good.
All right.
Now
So,
what?
are you all kind of just settling in?
So yeah, I'll work on the armor and then, presumably whatever needs to be pounded out. I'm guessing it's not going to be perfect, but at least make
Yeah.
it not stab anybody who wears it.
Yeah, if you're mostly just trying to kind of clean it up and make it look, presentable, wearable.
Yeah.
That's again, it's Well, we'll have you go ahead and make your roll, but it's not a terribly difficult one. Go ahead and make a. I think this would probably be dexterity plus proficiency.
Yeah.
We'll also have to.
Or
stand
even
the
strength
watches.
if you would rather. Because
yeah,
you're
it's
just
always
kind of
better.
pounding. It's not fine detail work so much as just making sure that the dents are both pounded out.
29.
No problem. You make it look brand new. So you probably take a couple of hours doing that, though. Are you kind of out on deck?
Yeah.
All right.
Because I would have been watching, looking for the rocks while we were sailing and get everything connected and pile the bodies up somewhere and conspicuous-ish.
Yeah, I think Alaric's probably helping you with that. And then,
Sounds like something he would do.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We can watch in shifts too.
Feathercrest and Melicanth, because they're both wizards and Feathercrest is planning to leave, they take the opportunity of a relatively calm evening to, she's going to copy a couple of Melicanth's spells into her spell book, even though there's a couple of them that she's not powerful enough to cast yet. But when she is, she'll have it. So they're kind of occupied doing that for a little while.
I'd like to go take a rest. That's what I'd like to do.
All right.
Same.
So if you guys are going ahead and turning in, so here's the question though. Whoops. Your ship has captain's quarters with a pretty nice double bed in it. And then below deck it has 3 cabins with 2 hammocks each.
Hammock.
Captain's
Yeah.
quarters.
I'll take a hammock.
I ain't messing around.
Take your old teenage self up there.
I'm going to nudge Cadence in the direction of the captain's quarters.
What are you doing? No,
Don't be shy, just go for it.
I don't know. No. I don't know. I don't see any reason to do that.
I'll be in the big bed if anybody wants to join me.
Lord, save us.
He'd probably be happy if you went in there, Nero. I mean, he does seem to like.
No, he likes you more.
Does he, though? I don't
I've
know.
seen the way he looks at you. He couldn't live without you, Cadence.
Hey, Archie, when you're done with the armor, I got a big bed down below.
Okay, maybe he likes Archie. I don't even know.
All right. Not too warm down there, is it?
No, but I got lots of rum.
You just missed out on a golden opportunity.
Wait a minute. Wait. Rum? Amethyst is getting a damn bottle of rum and then going to the hammock.
I think Alaric probably joins you with some of that, but I'm guessing, just knowing what I know of Alaric, that he probably does not find a hammock terribly comfortable. Probably just, might even just disconnect it from the hooks and sort of just lay on it like a blanket on the floor.
It's a big bed, Alaric. Boys' night in.
Boys' night in, I love it.
Yeah, man.
We all head down to the captain's quarters. I am the first mate, so.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I'm going to take first watch.
All right. Go ahead and make a perception check for me.
I am not rolling that dice this week. Perception 15 plus 22.
Yeah, it is, you guys pretty successfully hid yourself. Nothing really approaches you. You do kind of occasionally see little specks moving around in the distance. There are probably other ships doing who knows what. Can't tell from here, but no one approaches you.
Does it still feel claustrophobic, like we're boxed in here?
It does. Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna-
just that vague, heavy feeling like, you know, you're kind of able to do whatever you want right now, but you can't get away, whatever that means.
I'm gonna pace like the whole time I'm out there.
All right. All right. Who's taking the next watch? I mean,
Um,
I will.
Melicanth and Nira can certainly trade off their awake times, but
mhm.
if whoever's on watch as opposed to just awake.
Yeah, I'll stand a watch.
I'm
You want
fast
to make a
as well.
perception
My
check?
stellar perception.
Yeah. Big old negative modifier.
2.
2.
Oh,
Oh, Jesus.
I think you are searching the skies and you don't see anything in any direction, and you're kind of just feeling like people keep saying they see stuff, but I don't see anything. I mean, just the limits of your clear vision. Everything's too far away. But
Yeah.
I'll
but-
take a watch too. So
okay.
I got my new Illithid.
Ah,
It's gonna be my dice jail, so it's like it's gonna suck the negative juju out of the dice. I just
Nice.
need
very nice.
to
Very
leave it
nice.
over here to charge for a little while.
All right. So we'll say that just as you're kind of finishing up your shift, Autarky, and maybe even as Nira is kind of coming up to sort of, you know, take over, you all do feel a strange shift that, like, it doesn't seem possible that there could be an earthquake here, and yet you all feel a little bit of a shift, perhaps like the ship was buffeted by something, but it's a little bit unsettling, and I need whoever feels inclined to go ahead and roll a d20 for me.
okay.
She said okay.
12.
All right. So, the atmosphere does feel a little bit of a shift. You don't really feel trapped anymore, but it's still kind of heavy. You feel like something had just kind of been holding you down, like, you know, like a cat toying with a mouse or something, just holding it down with a paw. And you feel like that's been lifted, but there's still something kind of heavy going on. And honestly, what you really feel like right now is, what are you getting out of this, really? I mean, obviously everyone wants to save the world, but, like, you know, you just went through that whole thing with, like, everyone dividing up that stuff, and honestly, I don't know if it's really fair the way it's split up. I mean, you're really doing all the work. You're all feeling just a little bit extra selfish impulses right now.
So that's fun. Here we go again. Ugh. All right, Archie. I'll take over. I don't know what that was, but not good.
Oh, I think you're muted there, Jude. I don't hear you.
Oh, yeah. No, let's say, well, yeah, about time. Thanks.
Yeah, I know. Just do what I always do, because, you know, the elf only sleeps 4 hours, so doesn't even actually sleep. So, I mean, why not?
Yep, good point. See ya.
So, you want to go ahead and make a perception check for me, Nira?
Sure. 18.
All right. Yep. It's still pretty quiet here. You know, you just got, you know, the air moving around. You've got an out of the way spot. There's not a lot of stuff out here, so, you know, what there is to be seen is way off in the distance.
All right.
And
I'm gonna keep on looking at it.
It's also, unless something plays the same trick you guys did by sneaking up on the rock side of this, you could certainly see anything coming from a long ways off. So, unless it's, invisible or whatever. Lots of ways that could be deceived, but nothing. You're not aware of anything. You don't see anything. All right. So, I think your long rest passes, and you wake up rested, having completed your long rest. And I think as you're kind of rousing, Feathercrest appears, having packed a backpack fairly full with some of the food and water supplies from below. And you can see she's also got the care package that was left at the rock before, and just says, I think the time has come. I have to just say, obviously, I can't exactly be glad all of this happened. Having lost a couple of my friends makes it a little hard to feel too happy about it, but if I was to get in as much trouble as I did, I at least am glad to have had all of you there to help protect me. And it's obvious that you all have a lot of really important work to do, and I fear that I would just get in the way. So I think I'll be saying goodbye now. I do wish you all luck. I mean, saving the universe, that's where I keep all my stuff. So,
Speaking of all your stuff, that you're kind of looking a little full there. Like, do you mind if we take a look in your backpack before you go?
Well, I took food and water and supplies. I'm the one that's leaving a whole ship behind. I'm going to be off by myself. I just took what I needed.
Can I insight check Feathercrest?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a 22.
So, you get the feeling that she took what she feels like she deserves, which is not necessarily to say, like, she really believes that she didn't do anything unfair. But she is certainly acting defensive, like she thinks that you might think she took too much.
Feathercrest, I'm not, I want to make sure that you have enough to sustain you, and food and water and all that stuff,
Yeah.
You have to understand something here, man. I've appreciated all your help, and I just want to make sure that you are properly compensated for your efforts. So I want to make sure that, what you've taken is adequate for, the reward you truly deserve. So if you wouldn't mind, just I want to make sure that you have everything that you have coming to you.
Do you want to make a persuasion check for that?
Sure.
I feel like Alaric would totally interfere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, you can go ahead and make the check, but yeah, I think Alaric is probably going to intervene here.
I got 26.
Okay. I think that she'll kind of look at you and just kind of feel like it's really kind of hard to dispute what you're saying. Like, she doesn't really have any good reason why she couldn't show you what she has. It's more of just a general emotional feeling. But I think as she's, she does get kind of a little bit pissy about it. It's just like, fine, you want to see? Fine. It just starts like dumping out the bags. Like, look, food, water. You think this is unreasonable for me to take this? And I'm just trying to like survive as I go off on my own, and you guys have a whole ship full of stuff.
Is there anything other than food and water? Is there any of our possessions that she might have?
She has not stolen anything from you. She
Okay.
did take things that would be useful supplies from like the supply cargo area. So she has like some rope and some canvas and like, you know, but like stuff that fits in a backpack, not anything huge.
Okay.
But yeah, so she didn't steal any of your like personal possessions.
Wildcat, really cool. You're gonna harangue this woman after she's done all of this to help us. You just gotta be in control.
No.
Stuff. And
Yeah.
Feather, I mean, she's come all this way. Why are you, jumping in her shit like this? I think Alaric probably promised a reward at some point, and maybe we should be talking in that direction instead of
On that
searching
note,
through crackers and cheese.
Stop it. The thing is, Feathercrest is forgetting something, and I wanted to make sure that she had it in her possession. I'm looking at all this stuff, Feathercrest, and you've forgotten the most important thing. And I open my arms for a big hug. You've forgotten love, Feathercrest. You've forgotten love.
she has a little bit of a look on her face, like she's a little bit mad that you just put her through that for all of that, but okay, hug.
And while I hug her, I slip a platinum piece into her pocket.
So at this point, I do actually have some notes from Mark that Alaric does, kind of pull Feathercrest aside, and it is an honor to have had your companionship. My only regret is the dire fate of your kin, whom I would have liked to have known better, to call them my kin. Please accept this, even though it may add a bit more weight to your backpack. But I took it from a friend, a dead friend, the son of royalty. He too died in terrible circumstances, but perhaps it will serve your people better. And what you guys see is that what he takes out of the bag of holding is his family armor that he took with him from the Barrier Mountains and chose not to wear. But he is giving like his ancestral set of plate armor. He's giving this fancy set of plate armor to her. And he kind of uses prestidigitation to clean off little bits of it that actually has flail snail goo on it, still dried. Because he hasn't worn it since then. Yeah, and so he gives that to her, and she's, immediately hefting it just to kind of get a sense like can she carry it, but decides that she can. It looks very clearly pretty valuable. She's, thank you. I considered myself lucky really to just get out of this alive, but I do appreciate this. And Alaric, I know that we had hoped for a reward when we wanted to bring you back to your friends, but it seems clear that by reuniting you, we've bought ourselves a better shot at a universe continuing to exist. So perhaps that's reward enough, but this we'll think of it and remember you. And they hug too. And she kind of goes and just sort of, gives each of you a hug as you seem inclined, or a handshake otherwise. And it's time. She's heading out.
As she leaves, I'm just like, ah!
And so she takes off. She's a little bit ungainly because she's carrying a lot of stuff for just a little Aarakocra to carry, but she heads off flying, and after a ways she's too far away to see.
Man, I'm gonna miss that little burb.
Yeah, that cone of cold spell was pretty handy every now and then.
Yeah. Well, I still got that, just so you know.
Just,
I can do magic.
Clear, you're not actually the captain of the ship, right?
Well, I mean, if you want to try and fly it, you can go ahead.
No. By all means, go ahead.
All right. I'm just saying, usually it's the captain that, tells the ship where to go and stuff. So, can I be acting captain, Nero?
Whatever you want. It's fine.
All right.
It's just the title. It doesn't actually mean anything.
So yeah, you're the helmsman, right? In a
No,
lot of ways,
I'm the acting
that's
captain.
more important than the captain.
Oh, the helmsman is way more important.
My intelligence is
really
pretty
have
high.
more
I
power
like
if you think
captain.
about it.
Listen. All I do for you people, and this is the thanks I get. So underappreciated.
I'm gonna fist bump Archie on that one.
Y'all better be nice to me, or I'll turn this ship around. All right, fine. Listen, as your acting captain, I say we get off this rock and we start formulating our plan for flying into this purple dimension.
All right.
Yeah.
We were talking about a disguise, weren't we?
Yep. I can make us all look like the Githyanki people, except for you, Alaric. The Githyanki are pretty big, right? Like tall, I mean.
Yeah. Well, so they're
Like my spell.
They're kind of tall and lean, but like they did vary. They're not like 7 feet tall. They're They're
Okay,
just-
well, the seeming spell that I can do, guys, it makes you like it makes disguises your physical appearance and like your clothing and armor and weapons and everything, and I can make all of us seem 1 foot taller or 1 foot shorter if we need to be. So I'm not sure like how tall you are, Alaric. Just judging there, I'm not sure if if I make you 1 foot taller, will you fit in with the Githyanki, or should you wait below deck?
That's a good point.
I mean, maybe he could have just had stunted growth or something.
Doesn't he normally just hide anyway?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that actually would be pretty good, in case something happens and we need somebody to, catch somebody else by surprise. That'd be a good idea.
Well, how many were on deck when we first got here? Cadence, you came up and took a look.
There were 2. Everybody else was below decks.
Right, so maybe that's the best plan for going in unassuming, like everything's fine, just 2 people, it's cool, right?
Yeah,
Cruise
that's
on it.
good.
Are we going to throw all these bodies overboard?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, I mean, I thought you wanted to talk to him. That's why.
Do we want to talk to them?
Yeah.
Do
So,
you have that,
I mean, unless
Nero?
you tossed them
I didn't-
overboard, you still
prepare
have 7 Githyanki bodies and the young red dragon.
Man, that thing's heavy. How are we even going to throw it overboard?
You just leave them on the rock here.
Could you, like, polymorph a dead thing into a bird and then we can throw it over?
I am not wasting a spell on the dead body.
It'll fail the saving throw.
I think once it's dead, it doesn't react. The spell doesn't catch in the same way.
Finger of death. Oh.
Trap.
So the thing about that spell, I didn't like. I mean, I can go back and retcon it, say that I did, but I didn't actually prepare Speak with Dead.
Well, I mean, what
But
are the
it's-
chances that they would
We
even
will
tell us
assume
anything?
you-
Yeah,
would have
the
done it,
creature
just
that
that
I
was the
reanimate
plan.
doesn't have to tell the truth.
It also has to. It only knows the languages it spoke in life.
So let's not waste a spell on
I
that.
say we just go in, hope for the best. Any plans we make are gonna get all wishy-washy anyway. So
I'll be honest. Given the Githyanki only speak Gith, or at least these did, I was kind of looking forward to you casting the spell and finding out they just literally can't understand you. But yeah,
Well, I did prepare tongues, so
yeah, that would work.
I have a backup.
how does that work?
Tongues?
Yes.
I can speak. Anybody that I touch,
Mhm.
one person that I touch can speak any language for. I think it was an hour. Maybe
Yeah.
it was-
Right,
Okay, I'm
it's-
gonna need that spell. if we're going close to the rift and I'm driving this ship disguised as a Githyanki, I'm going to need to be able to
Yeah.
speak Gith.
Right, that's
That's
what I was
true.
thinking. Like
Yeah.
the whoever is up on deck, at least
Yeah.
one of you guys.
It lets
Yeah.
you understand and understand any language spoken to you, and also it's a little bit unclear whether you specifically are speaking the other language or if it's just that they understand what you say.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
what the spell actually says is that they understand what you say. It does not say that you
Right.
speak to them in their language.
Okay.
And so
If they understand what I say, then it would stand to reason for them to think that I'm speaking their language, right?
Well, I mean, not
It's-
necessarily. If they speak common too, you know, it could sound like common.
Yeah, that's true.
But it doesn't
yeah.
say.
Okay.
It just says the person you're speaking to
Take
understands.
my
I guess
chances.
that it to some extent, how that would, I think that they might realize if you speak back to them, if they're savvy, then they might figure out that there's something magic happening.
Right.
But if they're just not paying a lot of attention, then maybe.
Yeah.
But to be sure, even just being able to understand what they say to you is
Yeah.
valuable for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so how about this? I can stay up on deck, and if need be, I can use tongues on myself as well.
Yeah. It's not concentration.
Let me look. No, it is
Okay.
not.
All right.
Nope.
So me and Nira can be up on deck. Anybody? Should we have a third person up on deck, or should we just have everyone else down below?
Because they just had the two that were up here.
Yeah, but obviously there was more people like on the ship as a whole. So
Right. I don't know. I don't know what the protocol is for going through the rift.
Yeah.
Like we might go onto the other side, and everybody's expected to be on deck. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, when you came upon them too, there was the knight riding the dragon away from the ship a bit, and then there were 3 below deck and 1 in the captain's quarters. Is how it was when you came upon them. But that was also when it was kind of patrolling with nothing obvious happening. So
yeah.
We could always say, if they ask about what happened to the dragon rider, that we were attacked.
Yeah, we could direct them away. Like, hey, we were attacked by these hooligans from another plane. Yeah.
Malakanth suggests that is perhaps actually reason. Well, it's a question. It's if we held on to the dragon's body,
hmm
that could be an explanation. The dragons are intelligent. It could be that we could claim that we are returning it to its family or others that would know it.
To
But-
its people.
To its people, but we don't know much about their culture. It may be that they don't.
What I know,
I think if anyone would know more about the Githyanki, it would be Nira from her Legend Lore spell. But I don't think it really. What she knows is that their queen is an undead.
I think she was
Well, I
talking
meant
about the dragons,
dragon.
though.
Oh, about the dragon. Make a history check for dragons, and I think you get like a bonus or advantage or something about them.
advantage.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so history.
Yeah.
Just a 13.
Okay. You know that at least by reputation, chromatic dragons, of which this is one, as opposed to metallic dragons, they do tend to be evil, and they do tend to be like they're born in a clutch, so they might have siblings, but they tend to be pretty territorial and don't actually like maintain close relationships with family members. In fact, as they get bigger, family members are really just seen as competition.
Right, so taking a dragon back to its people is probably not a good idea.
But at the very least, we can use it as proof of us being attacked.
That's true. That's
Oh.
true. And plus, it's really heavy. I don't think we're going to be able to just lift it and throw it overboard.
It would,
I don't
however, just guarantee that they would ask us questions.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good point. I mean, we want to avoid as little conversation as possible, right?
Mm-hmm. I say we ditch the bodies.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
I mean, maybe there was a mid-air battle. They were flying, right?
We don't know what happened to the
Yeah.
giant. Last we saw him, he was going that way. There you go.
Yeah, we saw him getting paid off.
All right. Well, so certainly, I think with some assistance from the ship, maybe tilting a little bit, I think we could have Archie make an athletics check, and if one or more of you is helping, he can make it at advantage to try to just heave
Yeah, I'll
the
help.
dragon's body over the side.
Yeah, I think Alaric would probably help him too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty weak.
So, are you adjusting the ship?
Yes.
Go ahead and try to make an intelligence check to try to make that maneuver.
That is a 14 plus 4, so 18.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a little bit wobbly compared to the last one where it was just smooth sailing, but yeah, you end up tilted just enough that you guys have a little bit of extra benefit. What was your roll, Archie?
Oh,
Your athletics at advantage?
Let's see. One was cocked. One was, okay, so 24.
Oh yeah, no problem. Heave ho! Short one claw that Cadence took as a trophy.
Yep.
It disappears off into the distance, falling away from you. And I would imagine you've done the same to all of the Githyanki bodies.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you dressing yourselves in the armor?
Did you say the spell,
Yes, the spell does disguise our
It
entire
is
appearance.
like disguise self, though, that it can be revealed as an illusion through physical contact.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, really wearing the armor could help a little if you thought that anyone was likely to touch you. But
Yeah.
up to
I'll
you
keep
guys,
mine.
because if you do want to put on their armor, you will be wearing that instead of whatever other armor you would normally.
Yeah, I don't want other armor. I'll take my chances.
I'll keep
Yeah.
mine.
What would we do for the stats for that?
What's the AC on that?
Yeah,
Well,
if you're
you
not
just, you would-
proficient in heavy
yeah.
armor, you're going to have a penalty.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's either plate or half plate, and you just add it to your inventory and equip it. And so plate armor is AC 18, but if you are not proficient with heavy armor, you can't cast spells, you move at half speed, stuff like that.
Yeah, I am proficient, but I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna keep what I've got. It's better.
Same.
Yeah, I can't really wear armor. I don't really wear that much armor anyway.
Yeah, I think we should keep our own stuff on.
Half plate is just medium armor.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and the AC for that is 15 plus your dex modifier, but it is disadvantage with stealth checks.
But there's that magical version available.
That's true. There's also, the half plate armor that
save
gives
you
psychic
from
resistance.
resistance.
I think I.
Certainly, those Githyanki did a lot of psychic damage to you guys.
Yeah. I'm gonna do the half plate because that actually boosts my AC 1.
Okay. So the resistant one, or just the regular set?
What was it? Resistance to
Psychic damage.
To psychic, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna wear that. I'm gonna put on just the regular half plate armor.
Okay.
It probably makes more sense for the people that are going to be on deck to wear it, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll the dice with that one.
Just because
Probably literally.
Yeah,
Just
half
because it
plate.
bumps my AC by 1. I mean, I know I get disadvantage on stealth, but we're not going into a stealthy, you know.
No, it's up to you guys.
Yeah.
How you
Yeah.
wanna-
15 plus deck.
Yeah, Melicanth is also going to forgo because you would basically be useless. You know, protected but useless. So, but I'm also going to just briefly, because we haven't mentioned Arwen in a while, imagine that she is hopping around the ship, exploring, having a fine time being able to run around a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Adorably.
All right. So, who's ever staying up should stay up, and who's ever going down should go down, I guess. Right? I'm going to hold off on casting tongues until we're closer,
Yeah.
or we see somebody, like... Because it's only good for an hour.
Okay.
I'm gonna do the psychic resistance armor just so we're.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that I'm trying to remember I called it in what it's called in the D&D.
They do have armor of psychic resistance.
armor of
half
resistance.
Yeah, armor of resistance.
It's just armor of resistance, and then it has a table for damage type, and then
Yeah.
a table for armor
Oh, because
types.
I found one that was just armor of psychic resistance, and then it said comma half plate.
Oh yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Oh, right, yeah, this is the reference page, not the item page. Yeah, that makes
All right,
sense.
cool. So, yeah, sounds like you guys have a plan.
I'm gonna stay up on top unless somebody has a reason thinks I should go down.
Should
Well,
we
somebody
all?
has to guard Arwen.
Yeah, I think with Alaric and
Well,
Cadence and
Melicanth's gonna wait in the captain's quarters so she can kind of pay attention a little bit and be ready to respond if necessary, but not immediately visible from
Yeah.
outside.
I would say stay close.
all right.
Yep.
So myself, Nira, and Amethyst on deck.
All right. And
And
have
I
you
will.
cast your seeming spell?
Do I want to cast it now? I mean, we're like a couple hours
you guys
away.
tell me.
No, that's what I'm.
Yeah.
Do I
Yeah,
want to cast it now,
so
guys?
yeah, Feathercrest
I
had
think
indicated
there's
from
enough-
here you were like 2 to 3 hours away from the
Yeah.
rift.
Right.
I think
But
there would be
you-
enough time that at a distance we have enough time for you to do it, when it's
Okay.
needed.
Okay.
All right. I will cast it then.
And then you all turn around and there's a bunch of Githyanki behind you. Ah! No, I'm just kidding.
You can't find us, where you?
Yeah. So, okay. So I assume you do cast it on everybody, not just the people who are on deck.
Yeah, I'm gonna cast on everybody before everyone disperses
All right.
down below. Yeah.
So you now all look like Githyanki, including Alaric, who looks like still a little bit short, but, taller than he actually is. Githyanki with your sort of mottled greenish skin, sort of slightly elongated heads, pointy ears, lean proportions. You look pretty scary.
Ooh, good. Nira, you've never looked better.
Prince Justin just showed up in the chat and says, "Aren't you a little short for a Githyanki?"
A plus.
All
Point
right,
of
so
inspiration.
with that done, we will detach the ship from the rock, I guess, and I will steer us towards the rift.
Okay. So go ahead and make an intelligence check to pilot the ship.
All right, that is going to be that's a 15.
Okay. Yeah, you're still. You feel like this is not as smooth. Occasionally you find yourself. Like when you have a car that drifts just a little bit, you kind of have to hold the steering wheel just a little bit off to actually go straight. Like it's a little bit like that. You're getting it where you want, but it's not quite as easy.
It's like one of those damn shopping carts at the grocery store that
Yeah.
always want to go one way.
Yeah, it's not actually fighting you, but it's not working with you in the same way that it has before.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, as you guys are heading in that direction, is anyone keeping an eye out for
I am
ships? All right.
definitely keeping a casting eye.
Definitely. Yeah.
Go ahead and make a perception check. I guess if Amethyst is up there, you can either each make it or one of you at advantage.
Let's see, 24.
All right.
And that would be Shouldn't be that hard to see. So that's 18.
Okay. Yeah, so as you guys are making your way towards this rift, there's a little bit of what you realize retroactively is a little bit of an optical illusion based on the rifts that you guys have seen before. So your initial assumption is that you're closer than you actually turned out to be, but as you keep drawing actually closer, you realize this rift is enormous. It's easily 100 yards across. It's not the little line in space like other ones you've seen. This one is enormous. And so you were a little farther away than you thought, but as you approach, you do start seeing that there is a higher density of ships around it. Not clustered around, but just nearby, close enough to see a speck in the distance. But there is one very similar in design, but with sort of a different sort of painting coloration scheme, decorated sort of differently by the different crew, that is kind of hovering pretty much just right near the opening of the rift, and you'll have to go right by it to go through the rift.
And I feel like we're in the movie Serenity, and when they disguise the Firefly to look like the Reavers, and they're just flying through,
All right. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and cast tongues on Ket.
Okay.
And I am also going to boop him with guidance.
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay.
All right.
What's happening?
I'm going to just keep.
I felt some magic.
flying. I'm just going to keep flying the ship. But
I want to actually briefly rewind just a little bit before you cast tongues on Ket, Nira. I want you to briefly make a charisma saving throw for me.
Oof.
Oh dear.
That is a. I cannot do math. 21.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you briefly have an impulse of wait, maybe you should cast it on yourself, not him. But no, okay, you guys had a plan. You just do what your plan is. Yeah, so it's fine. You cast it on him. But there was a moment where you just thought about I should cast it on me. I'm the one that deserves it.
Tell me what to do.
So, as you cast, tongues, you feel your mind. Actually, I think it probably doesn't really feel like anything when nothing's happening. But as you are coming in close to the rift, I'm going to ask you to make another ship handling check. Okay. As you kind of try to go around and line yourself up. I assume you're going to essentially planning to not necessarily approach too close to this other ship, but essentially fly straight through.
Exactly. Just kind of hey, I'm not.
Keep your distance, but don't look like you're trying to keep your distance. Fly casual.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm trying. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Well, that's not bad. It's a 16 plus 4, so 20.
Okay. Yeah. No problem. It's very smooth. You're not doing anything fancy, but it also doesn't look awkward as you're doing it.
Okay.
You are nonetheless going to still be passing within about 60 feet of this other ship at the sort of closest approach.
I am not even going to make eye contact. I'm just going to keep my head straight, focused on the opening to the rift. I'm just trying to look as inconspicuous as possible.
All right, so as you are passing, one of the, as you're within 60 feet, you can definitely see there are other Githyanki on the ship, on the deck of the other one. And one of them does call over, and you realize, intellectually, you understand that he's asking you a question in Gith, but you know what he means. And what he's essentially saying, was the hunting good?
Oh man, I just...
Answer him. Whatever he said, just answer him.
Gatataka! And that's
So-
me calling back in Gith. It was okay.
Okay, so I mean, what you're saying is it was okay, and you're hoping that the spell will be
Yes.
okay. Okay. All right.
The hell?
Archie, be still. I'm trying to braid your fake Gith Yankee hair.
I can't hear a goddamn thing down here.
So there's a little bit of a pause, but you guys are kind of just sailing through, right?
Yeah.
I think that the other ship does start to like come around just a little bit and saying, "Show us your spoils."
Shit.
They
want me to show them our spoils. Should have kept the fucking bodies.
I am going to okay, Ket, you need to tell me what they want. I don't know.
I said they want us to show us the spoils.
I'm going to dig in my pack
Why would
then,
we
and
have
I will pull out the crystal ball and kind of wave it at them.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
and the iron bands of Bolero, just like this.
I point at near a Gith.
I'm gonna shake them triumphantly.
And behold our treasure.
Okay, so yeah, the ship does stop like turning to follow you, and you do hear the the voice call out and just say, "Better show better manners to the Queen." But the ship stops.
I
trying
nod.
to follow you.
I nod. Then keep going.
All right.
I never really stopped. I'm just like cruising.
All right. So, you realize now that unlike the rifts that you have encountered in the past, something is keeping this one not merely large, but open. You can see through it like a window into the other plane. And so, gone is the blue skies and clouds from the elemental plane of air. On the other side, you see an endless realm of silvery mists. And the ship proceeds through. And you all feel a shiver as, you transfer from the elemental plane of air into the silvery mists of the astral sea.
I communicate to Amethyst and Nira
Holy crap.
what the dude said, that you better show better manners to the Queen. I don't know what he means, like if the Queen's gonna be right on the other side, but he wants us to show better manners to the Queen. So I don't know what that means, but that's what he said. So we might have a lot of deception in our future. I don't know.
I can't believe that worked. It
Me
was a few
neither.
hours and it worked.
Yeah, man. Good thinking, holding up that stuff real quick.
Are we there yet?
Yeah.
It's cold.
So as you enter in this area, there is essentially just an endless gray void, which is really only just broken up by the mist being slightly denser in some places than others.
Is there any other ships around that we can see?
Make a perception check.
Okay.
I would like to search too because I am still on the lookout.
16.
Okay. You see that, like on the one side, there are some ships, within sight, but not close.
Okay.
Just because there's nothing to obstruct them, they.
Right.
You would guess that there's none of them any closer than half a mile at the closest. There's a handful around, so there are some that are close enough to see that it's a ship, and there a couple of them are similar design to yours. You do see one that's bigger.
I guess I'll call the others up on deck. so they can take a look around too.
Yeah. So they're far enough away you can't really get a good look at any of the, occupants or the crew.
Okay.
But what you do realize is that as soon as the ship is fully on the other side in the astral sea, it kind of stops moving, and you just sort of get a sense that the rules have changed here. And indeed, everyone now feels that once you have crossed into the astral sea, you can't move at all except by will. You move in any direction you want, just by wanting to. And it is your own mind that makes it happen. There's no gravity.
Right.
And it's not even like physically taking steps that makes you move. It's you wanting to move, and you just drift in that direction. And so right now, in the astral sea, your movement speed is 3 times your intelligence score.
3 times your intelligence score? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, same as usual. Right on.
Intelligence.
Wow, I got 57 now.
I'm at 48.
Wow. I went up 27 feet. Right on. Okay.
But in navigating with the helm, you do have a sense now that, like, this is where this ship is actually designed to work. Like, it can do that. It can do what it does over in the other plane.
Mm-hmm.
But you feel like here's where it was actually made for.
Oh, okay.
But I'll need you to make another intelligence check to sort of reconnect.
Yep.
Under the new regime.
22.
22?
Yep.
Yeah, you feel a much more intuitive sense of the ship here. And you feel like you could really make it do pretty much anything you want, and including, you know, that you could have it move much more quickly here than it could move in the other plane. But of course,
I'm a leaf on the wind. Leaf on the wind.
Yeah. So you get the feeling that it would be more maneuverable here and faster, but that is no doubt also true of every other ship like this.
Right.
So.
Can I use the crystal ball and the scrying spell to find the tree?
So, the scrying spell is kind of specific in the sense that it requires you to either scry on a creature with adjustments to the difficulty depending on how well you know them, or you can scry on a place, but you have to kind of know the place. And so I'm trying to decide, is the tree enough of its own place to count as a location for that purpose? You know what I mean? Or is
kind of a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And also it's the astral sea, so like.
Yeah. So
that's why I'm asking.
What I'm going to say then is that you'll know as you start, with the spell, that this is not, you're using it a little bit in an unusual way. Like that you're sort of asking it to do something a little bit different than what it's used to. But what that just means is I'm going to have you make an Arcana check to try to make the spell sort of shift it just enough to work in this way.
It's a 16.
Okay. So you're going ahead and doing it now?
Yeah, because, we need to know where we're going.
Yeah. So you do, as a, as you sit down and begin the casting time of this, it does take 10 minutes of concentration over it. And you're working and concentrating, envisioning everything you know about the tree, both from your legend lore spell and also from seeing the spectral illusion of it, everything that you've learned about it, and focusing on all of these and trying
also, we saw that little sprig of it coming out of that.
Correct, you did. You sure did. And so I think what you eventually find is that as you stare into this crystal ball, the sort of foggy crystal within the center does start to swirl and clear, and you do see the tree, and what you see is that it is encased in what looks like an enormous block of amber. And you know that this amber stone, it's not like a brick, it's not smooth, it's, you know, textured on the side and irregularly shaped, but encasing the tree. And you see that it's not only the tree, but an enormous root structure underneath that's encased. And what you also see is that there are many places around the surface of this amber that seem to have strange, dark, blob-like growths on it, a bit like when you have a piece of fruit start to go bad and mold spots grow on it. There's some spots on the surface of the amber that look like that. And then as your awareness kind of expands a little bit too, you also see lots of ships around it. And then the vision fades.
All right. I'm going to report those findings. So I hope this disguise holds up, because there's going to be a lot of ships where we're going.
Well, we got the boat. I mean, I can cast it again, but it lasts for 8 hours, so... Do we know, like, do you know how far away this vision was? Like, do we know how far away this is? Do we even know where it is? I mean, this is a big place. Do we know which direction to go?
Melicanth offers that she has spoken with Archdruid Evergreen about the astral projection spell and how it works to travel in the astral plane through that spell. And she doesn't know for a fact that it would work exactly the same when physically present as opposed to astrally projecting, but she is not aware of how it would be different. And what she says is that the astral sea is effectively infinite, but the way to go somewhere there is to know where you're going. And just like you will yourself to move in any given direction, it's essentially a matter of saying, I know where I'm going, I'm willing myself to move in that direction. And you move in that direction without having to know, oh, it's that way. But the problem is the amount of travel time is not concrete in the way that it would be in a more traditional physical plane.
Right.
There's, you know, the idea of time and distance isn't quite as, it's a bit more elastic here.
Okay.
And so it's hard to know how long it might take, but having had a vision of it, and sharing that imagery, and all of you kind of together knowing where you want to go, should be enough to at least head you in the right direction. But, you know, how long it will take and what you might encounter on the way is hard to say.
So here's what I suggest, as your acting captain. I suggest that we, you know, will the ship. I will will the ship to go towards the tree, and hopefully that will work. And when you feel tired, rest. You know, if you don't feel tired, don't rest, that kind of thing. Because it's obvious that, you know, time and space and everything is all working different over here. So we don't know how much time is passing and what's going on. So we have to listen to our bodies. So when we feel tired, we'll rest. And, you know, when we feel alert, we'll just stay alert, kind of thing, you know?
Okay.
Makes sense.
So
I will picture the tree in my mind as described by Nira and just kind of will the ship to go in that direction.
okay, go ahead and make an intelligence check for me.
All right. that's it. 17.
Okay. So, with a little bit of an awkward lurch as you get accustomed to the new control scheme here, and all of you sort of cooperating in your own minds, you know, your will being to stay with the ship as it travels, don't find it difficult to stay on board. You know, you're essentially, through your collective agreement, making the ship and all of its passengers one entity, moving through this endless silvery misty void. And it seems as though you're moving quite quickly, but the only way you can measure that is the distance, the quickness with which the rift you leave behind fades into the mist. And after that, very little reference point to go by. But you do have a sense that you are moving in that direction.
Okay. Well, here's a good judge too, is that the spell that I cast lasts for 8 hours. So it's been on, like when we passed through the rift, it was on us for like 2 hours because it took us 2 hours to get to the rift. So depending on when it wears off, we'll know how much time has passed, kind of thing, you know? If it wears off in like 5 minutes, we've just traveled for like 6 hours in 5 minutes, kind of thing, you know? So
we have to be careful with that because we don't want it to just wear off unexpectedly either.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I won't know. I can't cast it again after it wears off, so that's the thing. So we'll just keep traveling and hope for the best. And I'll be ready to cast it again in a moment's notice should it wear off. You know?
So,
Worked okay so far.
you do, you travel and you're moving, but even by comparison, traveling on the a long sea voyage or a long wagon journey, there's nothing to look at. There's nothing to see. It's very disorienting, I would think. But after you've been doing it for some amount of time, Nira, suddenly in your head, Zorath's voice. Persuade Melicanth to give you the stolen moment. If you force me to act, you will not like my methods. Please, you know the stakes.
Patience has its own rewards. That's my reply.
That's true, but like, you know, how do we tell you're being patient right now? Because you can't tell the time is passing. It's so weird.
Man, yeah,
My
right,
head,
good
you can't
point.
hear me.
Are you patient if you don't know time's passing?
you know, man.
So I'm going to
what-
go to Melicanth again.
Okay.
And it's like, you remember that conversation we were having earlier? Just because I don't know, there's a lot of activity around this tree. And I think it's best to be prepared. So if you want to share that, what we discussed, if you want to discuss that with the rest of the group, I think now is probably the time for that.
You speak of opening the discussion to alternate means of protecting the artifact?
Yes.
Yes, let's do so. And the two of you come back out to kind of assemble everyone, and Melicanth will just say, for some time, I have been keeping the artifact, the stolen moment, safe in a sort of container, a pocket of the ethereal plane that I am able to access through the use of a totem artifact and a command word. This has many benefits in the sense that it is inaccessible by any other means, but with the significant downside that it is only accessible by me, and that if something were to happen to me, and the spell were to end against my will, the chest would be lost and distributed somewhere in the void of this plane, with no control whatsoever of where. I had been discussing with Nira that I do not wish for this situation to continue only because we had not discussed any alternatives. I think it's incumbent upon all of us to keep it as safe as it can be, and its current whereabouts are as safe as I know how to keep it. But if there are alternatives, I am open to suggestions.
My suggestion is that all of us maybe share the knowledge of how to recall it should something happen to you, and we can retrieve the object ourselves.
What, so everybody would know how to do it?
Well, everybody here, not just anybody.
Wait, I said everybody here.
She does, sort of pat a pocket and just say, "It is a small token that I carry on me. That and the command word are both necessary. I could share the command word, and anyone who knows it and possesses the token would be able to recall the chest. But
You said if anything happens to you, does the
yes,
token stay on you?
It is still my spell.
No, I know. I'm saying if anything happens to you, what happens to the token? Is that just fluff her off into infinity?
If something were to happen to me, the spell would end.
Oh, okay.
And the chest would be lost.
Oh,
I can
okay.
share with you the ability to access it, but if I were to be killed or the token destroyed, in either case, the chest would be lost.
Okay. So even if we know the command word and the spell, or the command word and have the token, if something happens to you, we still wouldn't be able to retrieve it.
If I were to be simply rendered unconscious, one of you could potentially access it. But were I to be killed and my connection to the magic severed, it would be lost.
So we need to make sure you stay alive.
Right, but this is a backup just in case something happens.
Yes.
Like
exactly.
if she's knocked unconscious so we can hurry up and get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got it. Good. Okay.
This is simply a backup plan. That's all.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Well, as
silly question.
Go ahead.
What would happen if we took the stolen moment itself and put it like from one pocket dimension into another, like say into like the bag of holding? I'm not saying to keep it in the bag of holding. I'm just saying what would happen if we did that? Would that protect it at all?
That would be effective in protecting it from some scrying spells, as are the non-detection charms that some of us still carry. Those would also protect it from scrying. But, for example, were someone to simply take the bag of holding from you.
Right. I'm thinking that might... Okay, another question. When you have the totem and you speak the command word, does the stolen moment like appear instantly, or do you have to go get it? Like, how does that work?
No, it can be the actual container is summoned to me.
Okay. So I'm thinking as part of a backup plan, if maybe we need to do a little bait and switch kind of thing, if it comes to it or something, we take the stolen moment and put it in the bag of holding and then say, "Here's your damn totem, you fool," and say, "Be gone with it, there, go get your stolen moment." But really we still have it because it's in the bag of holding, like the old switcheroo kind of thing.
This sounds like Mugen's shell game.
I don't know what that is. I don't know who that is, but
everybody loves the shell game.
Well, I like the shell game. I just don't know. I just don't know what a Mugen is. That's all. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I'm just throwing that out there. That's all. I just wanted to know what would happen if it was in the bag of holding.
Well, it would, as I say, there should be no magical interaction that I'm aware of, and it would protect it from scrying. I believe it was, in fact, carried that way as they brought it to me in the first place. After
Can the totem be put in the bag of holding? Because I know, like, the portable hole can't go in there. It would react badly.
Yes, the token could definitely go into the bag of holding.
Amethyst, do you have any thoughts?
Do we want everybody? All of us would know the word, the phrase then correctly? Correct?
Well, if that is what we decide.
I think it's a good backup plan.
Yeah.
In case something happens, yeah, for sure. I mean,
What we're walking into, not that anything that we've done before this is particularly safe, but we know specifically what we're walking into here.
I think it makes sense to have it possible, because while we could certainly, res, so to speak, Melicanth if something were to happen, which of course we would do, if that tie to magic is severed even briefly, then it's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And we have no recourse at that point.
The one other caution I would voice, and please understand this is not meant in any way to denigrate any of your skills, but charm magics do exist. And if everyone knows how to retrieve it, any one of you could be charmed.
If that hasn't happened already.
I myself am not totally immune, but I have some level of resistance.
So does Nira, right?
Yeah, so do I.
But again, resistance, that doesn't mean impervious to it.
That's
True.
correct. But the more people who have the means, the more risk potentially.
Absolutely.
It is a dilemma.
So I think we need to focus on getting non-detection charms for whoever doesn't have them. I think that makes this like as big a step towards protecting it as what we may decide here. I'm leaning towards sharing it with at least some of us, if not everyone, to minimize the risk of charm spells.
Melicanth does indicate that she can cast a non-detection spell, but it only lasts for 8 hours, and it has expensive components, so she can't just cast it, keep it up on everybody forever.
Yeah.
Well, Amethyst, you're the one that has expressed the most concern regarding this item, so I think it would be wise if at least you knew the command word.
That works for me. The odds that Melicanth and I both will going down, they're pretty slim.
What
I'm
is the
comfortable with having
Archie has resistance
backup.
to charms, and so do I.
True.
I mean, there's charm spells, and then there's charms of wizards. Do you really feel like your resistance to Zaref's charms?
You think I'm that weak, really?
No, I
I'm
don't. I
resistant to
really,
everything.
no, Nara, I really do not. I just think that he's very persuasive, and full disclosure, I'm nervous about the fact that the Lord of the Hunt has charmed me before, or and so I want to make sure that I don't know if that increases his ability to charm me in the future, but I just want to remind everybody that it's happened, and it has nothing to do with your strength, Nara. That's not what this is about. This is about things that we can't control, and being prepared for those eventualities.
Well,
should
it's
they
not
arise.
impossible that Melicanth falls under a charm spell either. The risk
Absolutely.
is just as great with her as with any of us.
That's true.
She nods, and it
But
says it's just a matter of the more people who know and have access, the more possibilities. If I
not
resist a
just
charm, then they may try someone else.
And because
talking
we
about
didn't
magic, though, she's talking about.
Well, there's
his sultry
that.
voice?
I would just
Yeah.
point out that I am the one that saved Melicanth when it came down to it. I made that choice.
So
True.
here's what I'm not making my point well. So because the Lord of the Hunt has charmed me before, because Zorhath has charmed you before, in addition to, can we admit the Lord of the Hunt is kind of cute?
He is really
he's a little
attractive.
cute.
Yeah,
He is.
Yeah.
So
He
I'm
is.
not saying anything about you that I'm not willing to concede about myself, but also because we've been charmed previously, we're more likely to be targeted for charm again, the magical kind.
Because they know that it works.
Yeah. Plus, we're cute, so they'll try the other kind too.
Yeah. That's true. Do we even know if Zorath is still alive?
We
I
don't know that he's
dies
not.
that easily.
Well, what was that?
No.
I said I don't think he dies that easily.
Well, you never know. I mean, that was a big fight that we were all in.
Yeah, but he's as tied to this as we are, and I think Amethyst and Archie, I think the three of us would feel something.
Yeah.
It's like, in the same way that even before Mugen sent us his message, we just felt he wasn't gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can see that.
It is perhaps a possibility to attempt to scry on him, although I know he has many protections. As, of course, if he were to try and scry on any of us with non-detection, would find that ineffective similarly. So it would be something to try, but if there's no result, then we don't know one way or the other. We could only ever be sure with a positive result.
I think we should err on the side of caution and assume he's still alive.
I think that's best.
You
He
haven't
has certainly
tried to contact
before come back from what seemed to be certain death.
Yeah, it was scattered all over all of existence for a while there. He still came back. Like I said, he's hard to kill.
You haven't tried to contact him with your talking across distance spells, have you?
To what purpose? I'm trying to hide from everybody.
Can I make an insight check?
Yeah.
I'm
was
sitting here
questioning
shaking
whether
my
or not
head.
whether to make her make a deception check, but technically she's not been the one that reaches out, so I was thinking it was Dukes.
Yeah.
But you can make an insight check for sure. So
So
I'd say, especially because, in a meta sense, we know. So if you want to make a deception check against Cadence's insight check.
21.
Jesus.
Go, kid.
18.
Okay. So I think, Cadence, that you get the sense that it's not... She's not lying exactly, but she's concealing something.
I just looked at her like Larry David, like,
I have a spirit inside my body. I kind of sometimes know things.
okay.
It's what I do. I pray and I know things. Yes.
All right.
I just think we need to do something like to make it so that Ket and I are non-detected, because as long as we are with you and detectable, people will always know where you are.
Well, as I said, I can cast non-detection, but I cannot keep it up indefinitely, and so perhaps we should use it situationally.
Well, it might be to our advantage to cause a little chaos while we're at the tree.
Oh, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
But extra chaos for them might be to our advantage.
I mean, considering all the stuff that you saw around the tree,
Mhm.
I have a feeling that it's being guarded pretty heavily.
Right, well, if the Lord of the Hunt shows up...
We still have the message in a bottle, too, don't forget.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, we're saving that for dire circumstances.
These
of course,
could be pretty dire circumstances.
I,
Which
Well,
is
we have
why
to
we're
figure out
looking
how
for
to
the
get
backup
the-
plan.
Someone roll a d20.
I got this one.
Okay.
Oh, you got it? Go ahead. What'd you get? I didn't roll it.
16.
Okay.
16. Once again, you sort of feel a little bit of an energy shift, and although your environment has not changed in any obvious visible way, you nonetheless feel like you're very in control of your own thoughts right now. You know, although it's always the case that intellect and emotion can war with one another, and it's a bit of a tug of war sometimes in terms of how influenced you are in any given moment by intellect versus emotion, you feel like your thoughts are very orderly right now, and that you might even be a little bit more in control of your thoughts than usual.
This is everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a subtle thing. It's not like an obvious sign flashes,
Right,
but you do start feeling that way.
We're still disguised?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
it hasn't faded yet.
Okay.
So
I think
because
Malacath would just kind of briefly just say, also, that's happening.
yeah, again. But yes, Kat, like you were saying, these are pretty dire circumstances. This is something we have to do. And because it's dire, that's why we're discussing this backup plan, because anything could happen.
Yeah. And I mean, the tree, like you saw Nira, you saw the tree, it was encased in like the amber.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, once we get to the tree, we need to figure out
How to free it?
what to do when we're there with it. Like, yeah, you know?
Well, I don't know what those black spots were. If maybe those are weaknesses we can exploit, or maybe that's something that the Githyanki are doing to it.
Why the Gith? Why are they the ones that are tasked with protecting it?
They want to be able to travel along
Yeah.
this tree.
Right.
They're trying to get into it, just like
Yeah.
we are. They want to free the
Do you-
tree in the same way we do.
Well,
Do you
also,
think that-
just the Gith were here. Like, they
Right.
live in the astral plane, so they're just
Yeah.
already.
Do you think that, like, if they really want to travel with it, that we could maybe negotiate with them to help us?
I mean,
That's risky.
anything's possible. I mean, if it
It's
comes
so
down
risky.
to it. I mean, I'd rather not have to, fight a big battle if we don't have to.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's even more risky, because if we all die, then everything is lost.
Like right now, I want to put Melicant in a big plastic bubble and just put her down below, But
She says, I do have a spell for that.
I know you do. I'm sure you do. Yes.
I think Cadence probably notices it first, but as you are moving through these mists, you realize it's subtle at first, but things are getting darker. And as you kind of looked ahead to see, what's going on, you realize you are heading into an area where it is considerably darker. The mists have grown almost black and obscured, and you have a feeling that not only are you moving in that direction, but that it's moving towards you. Incidentally, it's about now that your seeming fades.
Oh, look, it's you.
Oh my God! I forgot what they look like.
So I would just point out that we should be prepared to face their royalty just in case.
Yeah. Yep. There is that whole thing with the queen.
If we're going to negotiate with anybody, it's going to be her.
Should I make us look like them again?
I
Well,
don't know. What
this
does the rest
darkness, if it looks like anything, it looks like a storm more than anything else.
Oh, okay.
And it's
I mean,
definitely starting to come on fast. It's getting noticeably darker around the ship.
How big is
It's,
how big are the storm clouds? What's the circumference of the storm? Like, could I steer the ship around the storm?
I mean, you could try to navigate to where you're sort of more around the edge of it, but it looks like it's not just you moving towards a stationary thing, but that it's moving too. And so you think at this point that with a skilled movement, you could just brush the outside of it instead of going right through the center.
I would like to try that.
Okay, go ahead and make an intelligence check.
Natural 20.
Nice.
Yes.
So, as you are getting closer and closer to this storm, what you realize is that even those of you on the deck don't feel any wind. There's no sense of the air moving. But nonetheless, the ship starts to shake like it's being buffeted by a terrible windstorm. The air, the mist is getting darker and darker around you, but you sort of swerve in a very smooth motion, veering away and attempting to just skirt the side of this. But even still, you realize that the ship is shaking, and I think that all of you, let's see, I'm rolling a couple of different things, but what I need is for everyone to roll an intelligence saving throw at advantage.
At advantage? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh my god. Another natural 20.
13.
Natural 20.
That was an
Yes.
advantage.
24.
25.
Oh, wait, no, 14. Did I say 13? 14.
Okay.
11.
I need to roll for Alaric.
Who's your
Pull up
captain?
his sheet. I don't remember what his. I think his intelligence is
I think it's fairly
high
high.
because
Yeah.
that's his spellcasting ability.
Is this in lieu of a dexterity saving throw?
No, although that's not a bad guess. His intelligence. Yeah, he gets a 16. So I think Nira, you're actually the only one to. We were looking for a 15. And what happens is that. So, what you all feel as you're brushing the outside of this storm is that somehow this storm, this wind itself, just like movement in this place, is not, physical, it's mental. So, in the same way, storms are not physical, they're mental. And you realize that this is essentially an assault, a roiling cloud of complicated thoughts and jumbled emotions, and most of you are able to steel your mind and resist it, but you find just a little bit of a tendril of it wheels itself into your brain, Nira, and you take 27 psychic damage.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Yeah. What was that about resisting the charms of...
What a charm!
Yeah, so you get the feeling that that could have been worse. So, and also just in general, you feel like having to skirt around this storm. It's hard to get a sense of how much, but you have a vague feeling that, you've been pushed out of your original path a little bit, and so it might be a longer travel time now.
Okay.
Just by the psychological impact of you had to move out of your most direct path.
So
Who knows
now
what that might do.
Okay, so as we've come around it or moved out of its direct path, when I'm steering the ship, can I, am I still on course for the tree? Am I still traveling in that general direction, or am I now?
Yes, because it is a, it's more a matter of just like when you're really impatient to do something and you've been waiting on it a long time, even just the slightest delay that feels unnecessary can just be extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
Like out of proportion for how much it actually delays you.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that. Just the fact that you had to briefly divert yourself, you get the feeling that it's almost a psychological effect. That your trip is taking longer because you had to do something other than going straight there.
Uh-huh.
And so you don't have any sense of how long, what the difference might be, but you all have just a general feeling of having been delayed in a frustrating way.
Okay.
All right. So,
At least we're not all dead.
Don't say that.
it is true, though. You think?
Twist.
Dramatic chipmunk.
So,
Amethyst is getting annoyed and frustrated, and she's going to summon a bunch of cats to play with.
okay.
Just to like roam the ship and just chill out. With
Hello.
Yeah, but I'm not going to cuddle with you, my friend.
Well, humans like monkeys.
Is a really good spooner. That's like the it all works.
So, as you guys are continuing, something you belatedly realize is that it must have been hours and hours since you've been here. But you don't feel tired, you don't feel hungry, you don't feel thirsty.
That's,
Hmm.
I mean, been like 6 hours. I mean, I don't remember the last time we ate.
I'm not even hungry.
No, man. Me neither.
Nira can make a history check if she would like to.
Sure.
I'm not even
Hopefully
really
I do
that
better on
pumped.
that one. It's a 20, not natural.
Okay. So one of the things that you vaguely recall from the legend lore is that the Githyanki, by virtue of making their homes in the Astral Sea, whenever they want to have and raise children, they actually have to form these outposts they call creches in other planes, because on the Astral Sea, no one ages or needs to eat, sleep, or even really breathe.
I will pass on that little nugget of information.
Wow, man. That's
amazing.
that's pretty something.
It's disturbing.
It's just like anything else. It's just a different culture. I mean, I'm sure elves have their own thing. I'm sure the Aarakocra have, their thing.
I think Alaric probably recalls, though, with with a little bit of an ominous tone, is saying, when I was down in the mine, there was no way to tell time. There was no way to know if it was day or night or how much time had ever passed. But at least I knew when my body felt tired, when I felt hungry. And I could at least track time that way. But here, with nothing changing in the landscape, nothing to even mark the time from a sleep to the next, you could spend an infinite time here and not even realize it. Or at least just not even know how long it's been.
Yeah, see, the question is, I mean, I almost want to eat just for the sake of eating, because when we get back to our regular plane of existence, is that all going to catch up with us at once? Like, if I haven't eaten for 7 days, if I suddenly get back to the, our own plane of existence, am I going to feel exhausted and tired and hungry and starving,
I would think of it more like being in a kind of stasis.
Oh.
Could you imagine though if we were in here for all those years and then all the years that you took off your life came back?
Hey, man. Don't. Why you gotta rain on my parade?
Malacantha observes...
It's been petrified for 3 billion years, and now you're telling me...
Malacantha observes this. It's interesting to note that one of the hazards in the astral projection spell is that your physical body does remain where you were physically and does still need to eat and so on. And it is possible, though difficult, to maintain that spell longer than its usual duration, but the risk is that you lose track of time entirely, because there's no way to understand the passing of it, and that it has happened in recorded history that people simply let their bodies wither away.
Those people are not very smart.
Well, they had other things to think about, I'm sure.
And I've heard if your projection lasts more than 10 hours, you should seek help.
Oh, Lord.
Touche, Archie. Touche.
I think you two have been
Consult an
spending too much
arcanist
time.
before indulging in astral projection. Yes,
If you're allergic to astral projection, do not use astral projection. Oh.
so, in any event, the journey continues. How much longer? It's a little hard to say, but if you guys guessed, you would guess that it's been another several hours at least.
We haven't seen any other ships.
Not so far.
So I haven't cast Seeming again, just FYI, we're still our regular selves.
I will keep an eye out for other ships so that way I can alert Cat
Okay, yeah, that's good.
before we encounter someone else.
Okay. So
Our humor has been well received in the chat, by the way, just so you know.
Just while we're cruising along, I'm going to take a short rest to
welcome, Computer King.
recover some of
Yeah.
what I did.
All right.
There it is.
So, as you guys are continuing on your journey, the next thing to sort of just break the monotony, Caden says you're kind of just maintaining a vigilant awareness of your surroundings as you proceed through this gray void. You realize that you're coming up on... You hear the voices first, and it appears to be multiple voices kind of making like struggling, unhappy sounds. And what you see as you get a little closer appears to be perhaps 10 humanoid figures, but translucent, spectral, that appear to be struggling against some tide or breeze that you can't see, that they're trying to move in a certain direction but finding it very difficult, and they seem to be very unhappy about their circumstance in their struggle.
How many were there? You said there were like...
Looks like perhaps 10.
Sucks to be them.
I don't know. Should we tell them the secret? No, just let them go.
So you're going to... They're basically, you know, you're going to kind of pretty much intercept their path without course correction.
You should at least try to go around them.
Yeah, I will try and go around
Okay.
these lowly souls.
All right. Go ahead and make an intelligence check.
16.
Okay. So how close are you trying to...
I like to go like at least within like 10 yards around them.
Okay. As you are closer and closer, and you get within, you know, less than 60 feet, and kind of passing by, and you know, any of you are kind of on deck looking, note that they seem to be perhaps not astral projections, because Melicanth may have described that when you are astrally projecting, you look mostly like yourself, but there's a silver tendril that extends from your back until it kind of just fades into nothing. These appear to be somewhat more dead looking and translucent. They appear to be kind of a variety of humanoid races. There seems to be some tieflings and some dragonborn and some humans in there, but all sort of you know, looking spectral and kind of gaunt and haggard, in their clothes tattered, and as the ship approaches, they start calling out. It's like, "Help us! Help us!"
Should have read the warning labels.
They don't. I don't. Maybe they don't know that they're dead.
Big happy thoughts. Just click your heels 3 times.
You can do anything if you believe in yourself. I don't know. What do we do here?
I don't. We can't. We can't.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
we can't get distracted
got
by random
Much more
ghosts.
important things to
Yeah.
do.
We're the
Sorry,
heroes
ghosts.
We're the heroes of legend. I mean, and our legend seems to be.
They're already dead.
I mean, yeah.
As you're approaching closer to
Catch you on the way
West,
back.
they actually do start to kind of turn to follow the ship.
Oh man, now we're picking up the homeless people.
I got a ghost.
Can we go faster?
Please, please, we need to get back to Ushmithra. Help us!
There
Oh,
is no Ushpithra
Ushpithra has just been destroyed.
by a giant turtle.
Wait, maybe they know how to get there. Maybe they know a better way around.
We already know where we're going. Remember?
Maybe they can help.
Yes, we have to save our families. The spirit trampled us. We have to find the ones the fairy spoke of.
Oh, no, get going.
Yeah.
Oh.
Trap.
Giddy up, ship! Giddy up!
Bye, ghost.
Go ahead and make another intelligence check to try to accelerate away from these ghosts.
Yeah, I toss a sandwich over my shoulder. Here you go. 19.
Thinking fast thoughts.
19.
19? Yeah, so you do start to pull away. They did seem to be able to move faster with something to focus on, but you are nonetheless able to begin pulling away from them, and you hear their plaintive moans recede into the distance until they once again disappear into the silvery mists.
We're not the ones you're looking for.
Excellent shipping. Bodhi?
Yeah, you know, I kind of like this whole shipping thing.
Alright.
I think maybe when this is all said and done, I could ship some things.
I think Kat found a new love interest. His only love is the Astral Sea.
Cadence, you're a fine cat. Anyway, so you guys are continuing. Go ahead and someone make another D20 roll.
Who's up?
Who hasn't done it?
I'll do it.
Amethyst, let Amethyst do it.
That was a 5. Aren't you glad you wanted me to do it?
It could be good.
Could be
So-
good, yeah.
Sure.
This one feels almost like a more violent swing from the last, where before you felt like you were just very sort of in control of your emotions. It's not that they were gone, it's just that you didn't feel driven by them. You know, like you were able to focus on what made sense and not be swayed by irrational emotion. But now you feel almost like your emotions are just, like when you have racing thoughts, it's a little bit like that with your emotions, where you might be thinking is like, oh, it's kind of really sad. Oh my gosh, how sad it is. Those poor people are ghosts and now who they're haunting forever. But boy, oh, I'm so glad we got away from them. And you just feel like your emotions are just swinging wildly.
Also, it was probably our fault that those people died, you know.
I'm like Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day with the groundhog on the steering wheel going, "Don't drive angry! Don't drive angry! Don't drive angry!"
Make an intelligence check at disadvantage.
You serious?
Yeah.
Alright. Disadvantage. Okay, that's an 18. And that is a 17. So 21.
You are effectively maintaining control of the vessel.
Alright.
So, as you continue on your journey. Once again, everything sort of settles into monotony. How long has it been? Hard to say. You know, it's easy to kind of just get lost in your thoughts and then realize everyone else has been too. Still not hungry, still not tired.
Do we anything? Do we see anything anywhere? Anything?
So you go for long stretches where there's just nothing but the mists.
Right.
You occasionally will see areas somewhat like clouds where the mists are a little bit denser, but otherwise nothing. There's no water, there's no land, just this.
Anybody want to play? Anybody want to play Mad Libs?
Nira.
Yeah, I did that already.
So eventually,
Yeah, I've had about enough of these cards.
eventually, with Cadence on lookout, you do see in the distance what looks like it's perhaps like a person floating in the space, kind of in a sort of like limp, not moving position. But there's something a little bit funny about it, and it's a bit like when you were approaching the giant rift, where how far away is it? How big is it? And you realize you feel like you're moving at a pretty good clip, but it's not changing size very quickly, and you start realizing this thing is not person-sized. It does look like a body, but as you get closer and closer and closer and realize how far away you still are, you start to realize that this body is the size of a mountain range. It's miles long.
What does it look like? What race does it look like?
I mean, you're still far enough away that it still just kind of looks like a person, you know, like without seeing much detail,
Right.
floating in space, but just it is big enough that even though you are still a long ways away.
Hey, did they have like one of those
Oh yeah, like
telescope things? Yeah, like a spyglass in the supplies on the ship.
No, I don't think they did. Although Nira can make another history check.
I will do that. 19. No, yes, 19.
You don't necessarily know everything about what might be in the Astral Sea, but you know at least that the primary city for like the central hub of the Githyanki society, so the legend goes, is actually built onto the body of a dead god.
Ooh. So I will therefore relay that information because that's super creepy.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're far enough away, and I know it's still like a big, massive thing. But can I direct the ship so that I don't want to necessarily go like straight for it? So can I direct the ship so that it's at least, you know, on our right-hand side kind of thing?
Yeah, so it's not in the direction you're traveling. So you would be passing it at a distance.
Okay.
If you continue on your regular path. In fact, you're probably not going to get much closer to it than you are now.
Okay.
Which is to say, you have had enough of a sense that this thing is tremendously huge. But you can't really see much other detail about it other than its general shape is of a humanoid figure floating limply.
Okay. We don't want to go there, right?
No, but I do want to... I don't really know what I can do here because that's super intriguing. And I don't think I could communicate with a dead god, but man, that's fascinating and super tempting. I don't know if
speak with dead on it.
So, you actually, Nira, feel just a tiny stirring within, where you realize that's kind of what the actual mountain Rishama is now.
Yeah, sort of want to go there, but I don't think we have time.
Maybe it would be helpful to you.
Kind of rub my shoulder and kind of just watch it as we're going.
You show tremendous willpower, Nira.
That could be all the answers you've ever been looking for right there.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
As your acting captain, I advise we continue on our course.
So, you gradually, very, very slowly, pass it and leave it behind to once again fade into the silvery mists, leaving it behind. So, once again, long period of monotony, nothing, just gray mists. And, it's kind of maddening. It's a struggle, and I'm sure, like, your emotions are still a little bit out of control. Just from moment to moment, you find yourself feeling not merely a different emotion, but having it really roller coaster on you. Like, when you have a moment of melancholy, you feel extremely sad. When you have a moment of relief, you're just very relieved. And it's just, everything's just extra intense right now. And enough so that and certainly you've all discussed it, I think that you're certainly aware that there is an external influence on this right now, but, your emotions don't understand that.
Yeah, Nira is super extra broody after that, so
when I find myself thinking about the tree, I just get really, like, anxious.
Like maybe Alaric and I were playing some cards or dice, and things got really heated, and we had to go our separate ways for a little bit and cool down.
Melicanth is just doing a lot of staring into space.
Amethyst is just snuggling with Arwen.
Arwen is certainly being extra affectionate right now.
I give scritches to one of the cats that are on board now, apparently. Like, hey, friend.
So the original casting would have faded by now, but...
Oh, okay, never mind.
So you guys certainly have determined that, like, spells do wear off, so time must be passing, even if it's hard for you to have the same intuitive sense of it that you normally do.
Mm-hmm.
When I see Ket reach for one of the cats, I summon more.
Thank you.
So, as you are progressing through, the next sort of blip of interest is you hear, you see that there is, in the distance, two shapes. One is sort of a dark speck that looks like it might be another ship, but it is also dwarfed by another shape that is... It's somewhat gray, so it blends into the mists a little bit, but it appears to be some sort of an animal. An enormous sort of... it's... it is almost kind of worm-like from behind, but it does seem to have a head and two arms, and it seems to be following the ship at kind of a slow pace. And you can sort of spot that from a great distance. The animal, like I said, is many times larger than the ship.
Does it look dragony?
I think you'd have to get closer to really be sure, but that's not your initial impression.
I'm steering clear of that. We're not getting closer to
Don't
that.
go there.
No.
So, once again, you pass by. And you are sailing through the mists once again.
These mists go on forever. I can't deal with it.
God, man. Just from a metagaming standpoint, we're like the DM is throwing like all these tempting things at us, and we're just avoiding them all.
I know.
Hey, look, that's, that's you guys, right? You are on a mission, and you recognize that a lot of these things are not necessarily going to be fun things. Although you don't know now. Maybe all of those things they wanted to just throw you guys a surprise party and
oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like going to Australia. Everything wants to kill you.
Just as a brief tangent.
We're sorry, Australian viewers.
This is not in canon, but as a brief meta moment when I was just kind of thinking about what sorts of things you guys might encounter in the Astral Sea, I read someone had written up like a bunch of sort of silly encounters, and one of them I thought was actually kind of fun, but not in keeping with the tone here, but it was the idea that you would see floating in the mists like a little country cottage surrounded by a little patch of land, like it's a little small farm just literally just floating in the middle of the thing, and inside would be this really kindly old lady who just welcomes you in and says, here, I've got food for you, and you just take a moment to rest yourself, and the food like heals you, and everything's just super nice, and as long as you just kind of take it at face value, everything's completely fine. But if you try to like read the old lady's thoughts, you have to make a DC 20 wisdom saving throw to avoid going permanently insane at the alien horror.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I was going to say, that sounds like that episode of SpongeBob where Gary went with that old lady.
So in any event, that doesn't happen. You didn't see that.
Yeah.
But
like H.P. Lovecraft meets Hansel and Gretel.
Right.
But as you guys are making your way off in a different direction, you realize, Cadence, you see a familiar sight. It seems, again, to be one of these enormous creatures following, slowly, a tiny ship.
Do we want to go around it again? Look, it's that thing again. What is it?
Cadence, what do your feline eyes see?
I don't know what it is. It's like a weird wormy thing with arms, and it's like really big.
Yeah, we're going around that too.
Are you sure?
We're going to. I mean, yeah, we need to get to the tree, man.
What if it's a shortcut?
It's a thing following another thing. How is that a shortcut?
What if we followed that thing and it would take us where we want to go?
Cadence? Cadence, I love you, but no.
What?
Alright. So, as you once again pass it by, it recedes into the mists behind you. You continue on, and then it's tiny at first, nothing more than a speck. But as it starts to grow, it takes on, certainly Nira recognizes, it has a little bit of an amber-colored glint to it. As you get closer and closer, you see it appears to be Emerald Arboris, sealed in amber. But as you do get closer, you do see it is swarmed with ships. And around it, in a increasingly tight circle, dozens of those giant creatures being led towards the tree by more ships.
See, I told you we should have followed them.
I cast Seeming and make us all look like Githyanki again.
Well, I think on that image, though, we're going to go ahead and call it a close for tonight.
Oh.
All right, so Thank
Wow.
you, everybody, for watching and or listening, and thank you once again to my players. This is always fun. Lots of exciting things afoot here in the Astral Sea. And next time, have you arrived? How can you get through all of those lines of siege? Is the tree okay? Are you going to be able to save the universe? I can't wait to find out, you guys. But it'll have to wait until next week. So, good night, everybody. We'll be back next week for more adventure on
Good night, everybody in chat.